Evening, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Journal podcast. As you all know, I'm your host, Scott Mackay, and I'm delighted to be joined by Matteo Vismara, who's going to come on and speak to me about Clinton Nsiala, who has signed a pre-contract agreement with Rangers from AC Milan, and he is due to join on the 1st of July.
It's the Rangers Journal night.
Hi, Matteo. How you doing? All right?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you for coming on.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to speak about someone and your place and
much appreciated. Much appreciated. So do you want to tell folk a wee bit about yourself first before we start talking about Clinton Nsiala?
Right. I think that you did a good sign. I think that Clinton is a good player. Obviously, is not totally ready for pro player, pro league, but he has a lot of space for improvement, and he has a lot of margin for growing. And I think that Scottish League could be an interesting step for his growth and trying to go in a different place. He played in France before coming to Milan, and then he played for only the youth team. He never, he never played for a first team, but in youth team he did a lot of good stuffs, and he did a really good youth league. We arrived in the final this year and the semifinal last year. So he was just one of the most important player for defending, on the defensive side for Abate team. And I think that is a good sign if he play with someone that could help him for how to stay in a line. And so I think it's good if Rangers has some players that can help him for growing and learning how to play in a line, how to play as a second defender, and not being the main player that has to control all the defense.
Yeah. Have you seen a lot of the player this season? Yeah. Do you cover Milan youth football?
I covered not this year, but I followed them a lot of time, and just I watch around all kind of, not every game, but a lot of them. And just I know personally Clinton, just because I met him a couple of years ago when he arrived in Milan, and then I know him like as the same of Simic, that is the other player that came in the same period. Yeah. So I was journalist following your team until a couple of years ago. Now I'm not paid for doing it, but I do it just for fun, and just because I have a couple of friends in there, and I know Clinton. He's a good guy. He's not a player that goes around and just go in a disco or stuff like that. So
yeah,
you're gonna be okay with that kind of stuff. You probably are not gonna find him anywhere in the night. He's not a night player, so he's really good in that kind of stuff. And probably he's gonna do a lot of error at the beginning. He's a player that plays a lot with the ball from the back, from the defense, and so sometimes he's gonna make a mistake for sure. And so that's the thing, that he has a lot of space for growing. He can grow a lot in starting from the back and deciding where to pass the ball. And he's a good player, but he need a couple of step of growing before being a starter for a team that obviously, like Rangers, play for winning the title.
Yeah.
It's just it's obvious that you're going to buy a potential very good player. Obviously, not now, but he could play for Europa League or in some games, or just some Champions League game with fourth. I don't know the name in English. Just thinking about the worst team in Champions League. He could play, and it's just a good subs for all the games. It's just interesting player.
What type of centre back is he? What type of defender is he?
He's not that high. He is around 182, 184, kind of. So you're not gonna have a player that is just very good with eyeball, but is really good in covering the space behind him. So he's fast, not very fast, but he's a fast player. He's strong. He has a really strong legs. So he's good in contest and 101. And so I think that the perfect match with him is a player that is higher than him, kind of a defender like 190 or kind of, and with position ability and position IQ important, so that can move him and just can control him. He can run and cover the backside faster than the other, but in my opinion, is not ready for being the main defender and just checking the line and whatever else. It's just something that.
Yeah. Do you think if he was there any talk of him maybe staying at AC Milan?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
Was there any negotiations with AC Milan for him to stay?
I think that there's been a couple of time that they met together, but he probably wanted a place where to go and have the chance to play. Now we are doing it's just from today or just yesterday night that Milan is gonna create the under 23. So we're gonna have the second team, but obviously the proposal was to play in the second team and in the third league, and just maybe sometimes going with the first team. And he probably wanted to be in a first team for all the season. So, and we were not able to give him that chance, obviously, and so he decided to go in a place and just go in a team that could give him the chance to play in Europe and to play for championship and to grow and with the first team, and just maybe doing an important step for his career. I think the Rangers is a good step for his career, because obviously Milan in that time needed one central back. Probably we're gonna buy one central back at least, and so obviously we got already 4, and just we buy another one, and then Simic is from youth team as Clinton. So obviously you have to decide what you want to do in your career. He has the expiring contract, and he decided to do the marriage with Rangers, and so I'm happy for him. He did a good choice, and I think that it's gonna be a good marriage for both sides. And anyway, it's just a French player. Even if it's not gonna go perfect, you can sell him next summer or whatever, and making some money, and so it's gonna be good for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. Football in Scotland can be quite physical. Is that something that the player would be able to cope with? Do you think that would bring out his best attributes?
Yeah. I think that definitely he's a physical player. He's a good physical. It's just I told you before, he has a strong legs, and he has not. It's not a problem to play like physical games. Obviously, the problem is that a lot of UK team, I'm thinking about also Premier League teams, has a lot of them have point four. I mean, not point forward. Forward is from basketball. The striker is just a big striker, very physical and very high. Obviously, if you have to go around that kind of striker, is gonna suffer for a lot of eyeballs, and just if you have to do a ad duel, he's gonna have a lot of difficulty at the beginning just because he's not at high.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's just better when the ball is on the floor, and just you have to do 101 and some stuff like that. He's really better than aerial duels, just because it's just a little bit smaller, and you're gonna suffer for people that has 10 centimeter more or whatever. If you play against I don't know, I'm just thinking about striker that has 1 meter and 90. I'm thinking about Holland. I mean, Holland is the perfect striker in that moment, and he is 190, super fast and whatever else.
Yeah.
But even if you play with a slower striker that is 190, 195, and you are 180, you're gonna suffer them. Obviously, you're gonna suffer when they protect the ball, when they defend the ball, and just give the chance to the team to come closer to the opposite goal. It's just obvious you're gonna suffer just because it's physical difference, but it's gonna be good. And when he has 1-on-1 face to face, he is really good. He has no fear to go to tackle the opponent, and just it's just good. To me, it's a good player.
All right, that's good. That's good. Has he had any injury concerns in his career? Any big injuries? Or
No, I don't remember really a lot of injury this year. He played 30 games in with the youth team.
Mhm.
He scored 3 or 4 goals. I don't remember. I don't really remember. It's just he played 30 games with 3 or 4 goals. He took probably not a lot of yellow card for central back. Just I don't remember if it's 5 or 6, kind of like that, and just only 1 red card just because 2 yellow cards. So he's a correct. He's a clean player. He came a couple of times with the first team and with some youth EuroLeague games or stuff like that, and then he played also in youth league. So he played around 40 games this season, and so I think he's just not injury prone. At least you're gonna. I mean, you're gonna buy not an injury prone player, and obviously it depends a lot. When you move from youth team to the first team, you change everything and training and just game and whatever else. You move from maybe playing a couple of games a week when you play a lot, and then you change and you have maybe a couple of months where you play 3 games a week. And so obviously he is not usual with that kind the rhythm. So it could be that at the beginning he could have some other you have to adapt at that time, the rhythm, that different way to play. It's just different. It's faster when you play in with the first team. So everybody is faster, everybody is smarter, everybody has Maybe you find a striker that has 15 years of career ahead, and
Yeah.
he's gonna play with people that has a lot more of experience of him. So obviously, I think that you have to know that you're not gonna buy a player that is totally ready. So he's not a player that you decide that you're 19 and you're perfect. You will be my rock where on which I build all my defensive wall. Obviously, it's not, but it could be an interesting rock in the middle of the wall.
Yeah. I
It's
know what you
obvious,
mean.
I think.
See, after he's played for Rangers for a couple of seasons, can you potentially see him in the future going to the English Premier League? Do you think he's that good?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe not on the best teams,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that he has the ability, he has the characteristic to play in that kind of football. It's just playing more physical, maybe less tactics. It's just if we a lot of time we talk about different way to play football in Italy or in UK. I mean Scotland and England, or in Germany. We have different approach. In Italy, you learn a lot about tactics. I think that for him was not that good. It's just playing a really tactics football
Yeah.
was not really good for him. He is more immediate. He has not to think a lot. I mean, he is not a thinker defender. He is more like emotional defender. He has to follow is learn immediate.
Yeah.
When you follow the action, follow the situation, and then we think about the next one. In Italy, you think about this situation and then the next four just before the first one is arrived.
Yeah.
So he's not that kind of player. That's
Right.
probably the reason it never came to first team. And while Simic has some games in the first team, obviously they were a perfect combination in youth team, just because Simic is 194, really close mentally, is just really focused on what has to do all the defenders, what they have to do, and just so Simic control the line, Simic control the other defender, and Clinton has more chance to move around and just to go and try to anticipate the opponent. So try to move on in the middle line from the midfielder and the striker and whatever else. It's just like that. It's I honestly don't know all the team of Rangers. I have to be honest, and so I don't really know which is the perfect fit with the defender that you have right now. But that kind of player is just perfect for Clinton. Then I think.
Yeah, so if he plays sort of at the back with an experienced player, then he should be okay.
Yeah.
He should be okay. I think Rangers are just going through a wee bit of a transition in defence just now, where we may sell some defenders, may bring some in. So it'll be interesting to see how Nsiala fits in.
I mean, I'm just checking right now. You have a lot of experienced player, as just in a defense.
Yeah.
You have a goalkeeper like Budland that is really experienced. He's able to communicate with the defender and just check the line and check the defender movement and whatever else. Goldson is just a good defender, and You have Ben Davies. You have different players that
Yeah.
can give him the chance to make mistakes. It's just when you buy a young player, you have to be ready and you have to accept that he could make mistakes.
Yeah.
I think that's the main stuff. And in the other side, you have to. I mean, you need someone that can teach them and can be a mentor for them, especially for the beginning. I don't know if you have some players that speak French in a team. I mean, French or Belgian or just players that speak French that can help him to be more introduced in Scottish league. It's just Scottish is a little bit different than normal English. It's just my English is quite different than yours, but it's just he's coming from France. He learned some Italian words. He speaks not really good Italian, but it's just as soon as he needs some words that for playing, and so at the beginning he's gonna learn a lot of different word in English, and obviously for playing you don't need a lot.
Yeah,
you need just the common words for just calling the line or leave the ball or control the ball or whatever. It's just quite easier than American football or basketball, where you have to call the games and whatever else, and you have to learn a lot of different words. In football, you need just the common. It's just so. I think you're gonna be good. Probably, I'm not sure you're gonna see him from the beginning. Maybe he's gonna wait for a while, or just playing before the simple games, before trying to let him play for different. And so I think it's gonna be a good chance for, obviously don't think about him like the player that give you 10 points more. He's obviously not that kind of player. He's not. It will not be the MVP of the next Scottish League. I can tell you that for sure. But I think that if he will be able to find his place in Glasgow, you're gonna be happy with him.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just it's a signing that the Rangers are bringing in to build up to sell on, if that makes any sense. He's coming in, we'll develop him as a player, we'll give him a platform, and then if all goes well, we sell him on for money. I think that's the player trading model that Rangers are trying to work off of just now. So it's a really interesting signing, and thank you for coming on, Matteo.
That's fine. Thank you for inviting me. It's just a pleasure to speak about players in another language, and for players that goes around and I know around, and that's fine. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem at all. Right, I'll take care, mate. See you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we got a really good summation of the young lad there. It was a really good interview. So thanks for Scotty for pulling that off. Good evening, everyone. So I hope you've enjoyed watching that. We're going to have a bit of a chat now about what we've just heard about the player himself. So if anyone doesn't know, my name's Doug. So I'm hosting for this evening, and I've got two wonderful, knowledgeable guys with me tonight. So first of all, I just introduce Stevie. Welcome, Stevie.
Good evening, mate. Good evening, everybody.
Right. And of course, everyone's favourite, Dino. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. How are you getting on, pal?
Not too bad, thank you. Not too bad.
Good.
Okay, so we just heard a little bit there. I was taking a couple of notes while we were listening. Obviously about Clinton. He's a young lad. There's not a huge amount known about him, which I've really good to get that inside knowledge and from someone that even knows the player. As someone has pointed out, only the best interviewees here on Rangers Journal. So know them personally as well. He's played quite a lot of football for Milan youth. I think it's 87 appearances in all competitions last season. Playing mainly at centre back. He played for Nantes in France before that, where I believe he also actually played a little bit in midfield. I'm sure I read somewhere as well, so that makes it sound like he's probably reasonable with his feet as well, which I think is good. And will probably benefit Clement's style of passing forward. But we'll just start. I'll just get a little general thoughts on what you heard there. So, Stevie, do you want to just give us a little idea? What were your initial thoughts on listening to that?
Yeah, sure, mate. I thought it was a really good interview for Scotty. Quite in depth, I would say. The guy, was it Matteo? He kind of gave a really kind of extensive picture of what this guy was about. I kind of like the fact that he said, he was describing him, he wasn't like a kind of main centre back, but the way he was describing him, it was kind of like he was almost like a man marker. The way he kind of sweeps up, really kind of mobile. So I'd say that's quite promising. And you kind of touched on there his background. He came through at Rennes, I think, before he went to Nantes. And Rennes have got a brilliant youth set up, so I think that's a positive. So there to Nantes to AC Milan, it's that is a lot of kind of really decent clubs. So he's obviously got something. So yeah, I think it kind of strikes me, probably you as well. It's like try to get another Calvin Bassey. Pick him up for next to nothing, develop him, sell him on. That's got to be the aim. But I would kind of caution just by saying, he's a novice. He's never played a first team game of football. So where he fits in at Rangers is difficult to see. He's not going to be a starting centre back, in my opinion. You can't expect it of him. But we'll see how he gets on. But yeah, there's plenty of potential there. It seems like a really good signing to me.
Yep, there's a lot of talk obviously there, Dino, about the fact he is a young player. He's not got a lot of first team experience. So how do you think we should approach sort of bringing him into the team? And do you also think, a couple of people have mentioned in the comments, do you think that with the amount of players going out, particularly from defence, we're really going to need to maybe buy some more experienced players to help him along as well? You're on mute there, pal.
Aye, unequivocally, we're going to be needing experience in there. That goes without saying. But one thing I would like to see is, we're going to be forever comparing them to Bassey, just of the age, the background, so much, the position. I mean, he's left footed. Do you know what I mean? So. It's going to, the comparisons are crazy but they're there, and he's similar size in terms of height. Not been particularly good at heading the ball. Bassey, looked like he had never headed the ball before he came to Ibrox. Do you know what I mean? So, but one thing I'm really going to want to see is I'm getting more opportunities than Bassey did in his first season at Ibrox. Playing him in the games that were, going to be, winning comfortably, and games that are already won. Those are I'm going to want to see him come on and get minutes here and there, and like the guy that Matteo said, he's going to have mistakes. Well, let him get his mistakes in these types of games to manage it in a way where it's maybe not going to be a mistake that's going to be costing us in a cup semi-final or Old Firm game or something like that. Whereas I was quite liking the way that he was describing that, he'll fit into Glasgow and things like that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. And that, I think it was you that said about being a man marker. I think that's exactly the type of player I was getting a feel for there.
Yeah. I mean, if you've been AC Milan for 3 years, there's no better place in the world until I'm defending, so he's got to have something about him after that. So,
aye.
100%. And just to echo your point about the Bassey, you're right, second season, he played consistently. And it was just, he just shot up so much. So it's just, like you say, choosing those games wisely, but there's no point in signing him and not playing him. So he's got to get minutes. I
don't think he would have signed. He's definitely had assurances. I read that we weren't the only club that was in for him as well. So I don't know if there's much truth in that, but I caught something on Twitter, I think, about us, other teams being interested in him. Could maybe just be agents stirring the pot, but I would expect that there is, given he went to Rennes, Nantes, Milan. That's quite a good. That's quite a good level of football that he's been playing it for the last 5 years, isn't it? So, so I think that you've got to take that it's very shrewd business by Rangers, and like Scott had said, it's definitely the player trading model that we're aspiring to be.
Yeah,
absolutely. Do you think? I'll put this to you, Stevie. Obviously, he's come to a club where he's going to be under immense pressure, as all Rangers players are. Do you think that the fact that he's going to be, I think obviously compared to Calvin Bassey, who obviously came in, played for us so well, played in the European run, and then got the big sale. Do you think that adds even more pressure on him?
I guess it just depends on his character. I mean, what I would also take for that interview with Matteo was, he seemed to speak very well as personality wise. So he's quite grounded. So he's not going to be going out beviing nightlife. Although wait and see when he gets here, that might change. But the signs are promising. So I think if he's got that in his locker, then that's going to benefit the lad. He seems like a worker. Seems like somebody who's going to apply himself. And let's be fair, he's taking a gamble himself, leaving AC Milan because he wants to come to Rangers and he wants to play. I mean, that shows a bit of bravery in itself. Because what our fans, myself included, we're highly critical a lot of the time. We do support them, but we put pressure on them. So he must be made aware of this before he's coming. So if he wants to embrace that, then great, and that's what you're after.
Do you think? Obviously we talked about going out and buying experience. If we keep bringing in these younger players, does it change the dynamic at all in terms of Goldson and Tavernier? Does it change the weighting of whether they maybe look to keep one of them, to again have someone not only that's got the experience but has also been at the club for a while to help these young players on? Obviously, if you have a game in theory with Jeffy and Nsiala, that's your both left-sided players there. As young, relatively inexperienced, so you're going to have that. Do you think it changes that dynamic at all?
Well, I'm John Suter's, a good age, got a wealth of experience. He's been playing top-flight football for 10 years now, so he's got a wealth of experience, irrespective of the time that he had it when he was injured. But he's got a wealth of experience. He knows exactly what it's like to play for Rangers, and it may well be the change that's needed for his game, because he was. Am I right in saying was John Suter not captain at Hearts before he came to us?
Not 100%, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I've just got a vision of him having the captain's armband on anyway. The point I'm making is there's a leader there within John Suter, and I think that maybe just needs unearthed. If you've playing in a team that's got Tav and Goldson in it, you're not really going to have much chance to show your leadership qualities. And I believe John Suter's got that within him. And maybe being in control of somebody like how do you pronounce his name? Sorry, it's Nsiala. Nsiala, is it?
Nsiala, yeah.
Nsiala. Big Clint, aye. That's a bit right. Big Clint. Maybe that's something that's needed for John Suter's game. You never know, to make him get to the next level as being in control and learning next to somebody learning next to him. Sorry, and I do believe that we will, if Tav and Goldson do leave, we will sign somebody else with experience.
I think you're spot on about Suter there, Dean, because the game I think of his last game for Hearts in the Scottish Cup final when we beat them, he was brilliant. He was a colossal something. God, we need to get this guy. He was outstanding. He was a leader. Maybe he wasn't the captain, I can't remember, but he was a leader of that team. So yeah, you're right.
I've seen the comments there. A couple of folk are saying he was captain, and I have found a picture of him with the captain's armband at Hearts, right. So he definitely was. I'm from looking at another result. It seems he was vice captain at some point as well. So he's obviously had that leadership experience extensively throughout with Hearts, so that's something there.
That's something that Rangers have to utilise.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I think it's particularly important. We are bringing in a lot of these young players. A large amount of the links that we're having are all players that are younger than sort of 24. I think we've only seen one or two that are like any older than that. So we're definitely going to have to. I think we touched on it in the Defenders pod we did a couple of days ago. You know, we're going to have to potentially rely on players like Sarah and maybe even Davies, who, you know, I've not seen linked anything with linking him anywhere as of yet. So, you know, potentially if he's still around, that's another reasonably experienced player that they might need to rely on as well. But so getting back to sort of Nsiala specifically, I've got another quote here that I thought I'd bring in about him, an article in one of the papers today with none other than Rangers Italian legend Marco Negri, who has spent some time with Milan. I think he's been involved in their youth setup. To what degree, I'm not 100% sure. But Negri described him as he's a centre-back with a modern profile, very, very aggressive, good left foot and comfortable on the ball, but he's young and only played under-19s football, which is very different to first-team levels. So I think he's, you know, that's kind of echoing what we've heard in the interview there. Is that kind of aggressive, forward-thinking defender? Is that the type of thing that you're wanting to see in the team next season, Stevie?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, just on the front foot, don't give your opponents like, you know, half a yard. You know, like so many games last season where we just start slowly or whatever, and it was like, come on, just go out there and like, you know, really grab the game by the scruff. Don't give the opposition these chances, and be physical. You know, because as we know fine well, like the SPFL it's a tough league. You know, it is physical. Motherwell game last season at Ibrox, we got bullied, and it was like, come on, that can't happen. So, yeah, if we're bringing in players with that profile who are ready to actually battle, and they're not going to be bullied, that's exactly what you want as a Rangers defender. Again, what Negri says is spot on, though. You know, he's still a really young player. So how he reacts to a situation when he's actually in it, he is going to need somebody experienced beside him. There's no doubt about that. And you obviously touched on Goldson and Tav maybe leaving. I don't think a lot of Rangers fans would be against that. You know, they've been there a long time. It might be, it probably is past time to kind of, you know, rejuvenate that defence. Obviously, Scott McKenna's been mentioned. Liam Cooper at Leeds, he's out of contract. He's a leader. He's a captain. But, you know, there's definitely options out there. If we're going to blood these young guys, they've got to have somebody quality beside them. Suter, he's going to be there, but maybe another number. Maybe one or two more.
Absolutely. You know, another thing that came out of the Negri interview was he said there's two sides to this signing. He's a development player, so he needs that time. But on the other hand, no one gets too much time at Ibrox. You must perform and go step by step, but I'm confident he can be a good signing. So we touched on like making sure he gets minutes. The interview there, he mentioned like having the opportunity to make mistakes, and also, as you said yourself, but not mistakes that are going to cost us. He also mentioned about him being good for the European level. Do you think those are games that he might be involved in, given how important the early European games are, being Champions League qualifiers?
Yeah, I do. I will expect him to be involved in those games. I expect him, as I said, to be heavily involved. Minutes here and there, starts here and there over the course of a season. And you know, you just hope that, you know, touch wood, that we're going to have the monopoly of being able to play who we can play and not be absolutely riddled with injuries that we always are. And we're going to depend on him. Do you know? I hope that we will have, you know, we can rotate, and that is a complete and utter fantasy for a Rangers fan. Do you know? But it's true. And for him, and obviously for us, like, you know, Negri said there, that, you know, Rangers fans fickle. And what did you call Rangers fans earlier, Stevie? You said we were
hypercritical, maybe.
So I mean that's part and parcel coming to a club like ours. So if we do end up getting riddled with injuries and he's going to have to play 40 games next season, then there's no margin for error, is there? So it's all him. His development's all contingent on so many different things. There's loads of mitigating factors to him.
That's a great point, mate. It's like that. There's so many variables. Like when you sign lads for abroad, I think Matteo said he doesn't really speak English, so there's that. It's a new country. It's good that he's played in like Italy for 3 years, so he's got that experience of playing in a different country. But this is another new country, a new environment for him. Like we look at the stats and stuff of players a lot, they're like the pass completion, the tackles, that's great, but that's like 20-30% of a signing. You've got parameters like way beyond that. Like how's he going to settle? How's he going to take to the club, the pressure? There's so much more goes into it. And it's potential, and he looks great, but we just have to wait and see. It's stating obvious, but we don't know how he's going to sell. Wish him all the best.
Definitely.
But he's got a pedigree. There's no doubt about that. So it looks like really good business for the club.
Yep.
We've got a comment here from William. It says, rotating the team constantly affects momentum. Celtic have a settled 11 who basically play every week. This was something that we touched on one of the pods I was in, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, when we were talking about the difficulties Clermont faced because of injuries and various other things, not having players available. Stevie, how much do you think, given, let's say, for example, we have a good season, injuries aren't a major issue, and therefore the rotation is by choice and by Clermont's will rather than forced. Do you think if we have a much younger team, we'll still have a fair amount of rotation given the amount of games we play? Or do you think that sort of what William's hinting at there, do you think we're going to aim to have a this is my 11 and I'll play them as much as I can?
I mean, it's a great point, was it William? Because you kind of want that settled spine, which gives you the basis to go out and keep clean sheets and win games. So I totally get what he's saying, 100%. But at the same time, as you've said, for having a successful season, we might be playing 55, 60 games, and that requires a lot of players, a lot of squad. We're going to have to rotate. There's no doubt about that. And guys like Clinton, maybe like League Cup games, whatever, that's his starting games. Coming on later on in games that we're winning, just getting that regular process, playing experience, playing, like they say, if he's going to make a mistake, then maybe that's when he makes it, when the game's already won. But just ensure he's, keeping in the first team quite regularly, and he'll build up his confidence, and his kind of stature, and his everything should basically grow for there. But it's a fine line. Clermont's got a really big job in his hands this season. With the rebuild is huge. We're losing players that have been on loan, so you've got to get a few in. You've got to settle them, and the Euros is going to finish, and we're going into the Champions League qualifiers straight away. It's just there's no respite, so we've kind of got to hit the ground running. So it's good to see these players coming in as soon as we can.
We've got another comment here, Dino, from Smoke Madraw. He's touching on the fact we've got a good crop of youngsters in the academy. Devine, McKinnon, Rice, Lovelace, he mentions as well. I saw someone else in the comments mention Fraser. With us bringing in young players, do you still want us? Are you still looking to see some of these players hopefully break through? And who do you think might be the main ones that might break through and get to play with Nsiala next year?
To answer your first question, those players I think will feature heavily featured in the first team squad next season. I do believe Clermont will put that stamp down, that marker down, set the bar. I do think that, and I think there's a plethora of players who I think can, by getting that experience in the squad and experience in the first team, can make a step up. There's Cole McKinnon, Lovelace, Bailey Rice, Adam Devine. they're all players I think that can, have a say in how things go. We just need to look at Ross McCausland. He wasn't getting a look in at all. I think it's been very well highlighted. He only trained with the first team 5 times before Clement came in the door. And we, we needed him. It wasn't a case of playing him because fancied him, wanted to see how he worked. He was thrown right in at the deep end. I tell you what, hat off to the lad. Hat off to the lad, because that, circumstances, it's that kind of been obviously like easy to go from playing like hardly any, next to nothing, reserve team, B team, football, whatever you want to call it, to then going boom, Rangers first team you're playing against. You're in Europe on a Thursday night, you know what I mean? So the lads handled it well. I was really pleased with the season as a whole. And he just needs players like that need to come through, and just need more encouragement from what's happened with Ross, and Clement, I think, is the right person to instill that belief in those players.
Okay, I've got a question here from Paul asking what do we think is going to happen to Lowry next season? Do we expect him to feature at all? What do you think, Stevie?
I doubt it, to be honest. I wish it was different, but I think the writing's on the wall for him, unfortunately. 2 years ago we were all like, wow, what a player this lad is, but for whatever reason, I wouldn't want to speculate because I don't know for definite, but it's just not worked out for him. Really hope he proves me wrong when he actually gets a chance and shows what he's made of, because the glimpses that we saw, in the first team, it was like, he looks tremendous. Even when he went to Hearts, obviously we kept an eye on him. I think he came on the game, was it Kilmarnock? And he kind of turned the game for them. I think it was in the Cup, actually. Won the game for them, basically. I was like, wow, he's definitely got it, but he's not progressed, unfortunately, which is disappointing, because, you mentioned those other guys there, like all those guys, like they know the club, and they don't need to settle here. They just need a chance to go out and prove it and be played regularly, and I'm sure they could succeed. But it's like, this is all this time, this thing with Rangers and young players. It's like they very rarely get the chance, because obviously the pressure is so high. We need to deliver. The expectations are huge, so it's very hard for them to get a run. But the names that you rattled off there, those young lads are really, really good, really talented. So yeah, I really hope they actually do. It's sort of similar to like the Clinton, play games in the League Cup. We come on a bit more, just regularly get them on the pitch and give them an opportunity.
Absolutely. I think for myself, one of the big things that I think could be a side benefit of the whole team getting younger is that I feel like it maybe becomes easier to bring in our own younger players into the team when they're coming into a team that is similar to them in many ways, and they're kind of all learning together and hopefully growing together. One of the great difficulties I think we'll have given our position is, your ideal scenario is you get a crop of solid young players that can be the nucleus of a team, and you let them develop together and they become stronger as a unit that way. But I think the problem that we'll have is anyone that does come out strong is potential to get pinched. So that could be a struggle. I think it's interesting actually when you mentioned McCausland was thrown in at the deep end, and if you look who was the last player, the last young player who we gave significant time to, Leon King, and what happened to him? He was thrown in at the deepest of deep ends, playing in the Champions League with a defensive midfielder as his partner. And that's a bit sad to think. The only two young players that have come through were there by force and not by will. And I think again that's something we really want to change. Okie doke. So I think if anyone has any final questions they'd like to ask us, then throw them in the chat now, and I'll keep an eye out for them. While people are thinking up their questions, I'll just throw one out to you, Gino. 12 months in the future, what do you want to be looking back at in terms of the season for Nsiala? Where do you want to be sitting with him?
A massive contributor to a treble winning season.
That'd be perfect. That'd be perfect.
That's you know, I dream about that stuff, you know. So
I think we've all had that dream. Do you want? Are you hopeful that we'll get, you know, maybe another season or so out of him, or would you be happy if it was a quick turnaround?
No, I would want to see 2 or 3 seasons out of him. If I'm being quite honest with you, a development season, a breakthrough season, and then being the main man, and then, you know, us getting a reasonably good profit on him. That's kind of where I'm at with him. He's at a right good age, and as Stevie said, his pedigree's outstanding. So I want to see. I'm just interested to see how good a pedigree he is and how long we have him for.
Yeah, well, be yourself, Stevie. Would you be happy with that?
Yeah, I'll take a treble right now. Cheers, Dean. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I really hope the guy plays maybe 20, 25 games, maybe like half of those starts, half of the bench. I think that's a realistic target for somebody who's never played a first-team game before joining us. I think if he plays 20, 25 games in the season, that would be really good progress and great experience for him. You know, as the Italian journalist guy Matteo was saying, you know, it's come to Scotland, there might be a bit of a culture shock for him. It's a very difficult league. I know we've got the detractors, but, you know, one thing it's no easy. You know, it's a tough physical league, so a bit of a baptism of fire for him. But, you know, that hopefully is the making of him. If he gets that experience, that's his breakthrough season, and then maybe next season he can be really pushing for a regular start and take it from there, because his value, if he does well, it's only going to skyrocket. So yeah, player trading model, he could just, you know, be the absolute kind of the guy that you want. So hopefully, fingers crossed for the lad. Hope it works out.
Perfect. Okay. Well, just let me say thanks, guys, for joining us this evening. Interview.
Sorry, can I interrupt? Can I say one last thing?
You can.
Just on Lowry, right? Like, so he's arguably got, like, he's got it, in my opinion, right? This season, this pre-season, probably couldn't be in a better position for competition for playing the 10, right? Because Tom Lawrence, Todd Cantwell, you know, we wouldn't be upset if they left, right? Hadji wants to leave, right? Lowry is in prime position to make that number 10 shirt his own. We all know he's got the ability, so this is a taste of his character and his attitude. And if he wants it that much, it's his to go and take. It really is, because Clermont has been very well renowned about giving players a clean slate and things like that. And I believe Lowry has an opportunity here, and I really want him to go and take it. I don't think he will, but I'd love him to. And I've actually been thinking about that for a wee while. He's in a great position to go and make that number 10 spot his own.
Absolutely, I think we can say that about all the young players coming in. You know, this is a clean slate for the club. You know, we've kind of we're talking about the idea we're kind of clearing decks with a lot of the players that have been here for a while, and we're talking about this new cycle. So it's I think that, you know, that can apply to a lot of the players, that there's shirts to be won, and to be made their own. So hopefully we've got multiple players that have the fight to do that. So
yeah.
Okay, so say thanks to Dino for appearing with us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me, guys. It's been good.
Yeah, and thank you to Stevie.
Thanks, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, and thank you to everyone in the comments for tuning in this evening, for all your contributions and chats. Remember, if you can give us a like just under the video, that helps us out a lot. Let's see, we shall see you again tomorrow, as every night is Rangers Journal Night.